All right, a little quick sound check here. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay. Sorry, I was a little bit late. I was trying to get TV on for the girl. Make sure I had some tea. Buying tickets. Start off good. I used to have to listen. I used to like not be able to listen to it. Silent for me. And then I like put it for system sound, I guess. And then when it went to system sound is when I could actually hear. 8 month subscription. Oh, hello. Can you guys hear me? Okay, I forgot I can test. Oh, it's super low. All right, that should be a little bit better. Yeah, it's got to equalize. There's nothing I can do about it. It's going to have to equalize in a second. Talk louder than your 7-year-old? My God, my 9-year-old is like the loudest kid on the planet. Like I keep telling him, like, just stop talking, stop talking, stop talking. He never stops. Sound setting over here. Should I comment on the audio? No. It'll fix. There. Hold on. Hold on. Let me pull it off just because Ernest said so. I can see the red bar. The red bar is going higher. I don't know. It does this thing. It like has to equalize. I can't help it. I have to like keep talking, and then when I talk enough, then it'll equalize. Yeah. No, it has to equalize. That's all. I got this. What the heck is this? My God, there's another driver update. What are we doing with these driver updates? She needs someone to talk to? God. Have her call Josh. Josh has 5 daughters. I'm sure Josh's house is not, the most quietest thing in the world. Right? There we go. Subscribed? Subscribed. Okay. It's like, wait, why is it not working? Hold on. Should be equalized a little bit better. No, it's still low. God, I hate when it does this. So I am. Hold on. I'm responding to Ernest's his call out here. Hold on. There we go. Oh, it didn't go through. Oh, that's what happens when you type it too quick. I was trying to type it on the one hand and I couldn't like quite see it. So, oh well, I didn't check my work. It would have been a great joke. All right, guys. So I can see the red bar higher, so you should be able to hear me now. It is a little bit higher, but I don't know. It's still adding up. I don't know. I can see the red bar where it's supposed to be, so I'm just gonna go ahead and go through. All right. So looking at today, Windows. This is actually a video card driver. I don't know. I just did it. It's funny you say that because I just actually updated it. There was an update for last week, and NVIDIA typically doesn't send out driver updates this often. But I'm wondering, what it's for. It's a game ready one, so it's for obviously a game update. Don't know. Anyway, guys, let's look across the top. So obviously, here, let me click this just so we can get a quick refresh. Here you go. U.S. Senate releases text of the stimulus. Okay. Man, it's going to be a big, boring thing. Paycheck protection definitions. I thought some of the provisions were interesting. I don't know if anybody listened to it. Talking about how there's provisions for people that lost their jobs, not only regular employees, but also contractors, as well as self-employed, which is kind of different. And you can borrow money to pay these people for like operations and keeping the lights on and all that kinds of stuff. And if you don't, basically if you continue to pay those people, you don't have to pay the loans back at the end. So it's kind of like, we'll give you money, but you can't fire these people. You got to keep these people on. If the government's doing that, people are definitely motivated to basically say, I will pay you. You can stay at home, but I will pay you. Because if they do fire you, then they have to deal with unemployment insurance that's going to be jacked later. And then they're going to have to hire you back, but they're going to still pay the higher unemployment insurance. So if the government's going to pay you, just keep the people on. It makes it easier that way. Um, Mario Draghi urges warlike flood of debt. Warlike, okay. Spain, I saw that Spain overtook China in some things. They were having some problems. Besides that, nothing else. Um, Banks will not have risk. You guys saw this message earlier. I posted it. Pornhub is donating 50,000 masks. Leave it, everybody's doing their part. And then Dow surges 1,000 points after $2 trillion stimulus deal reached. Not surprised. You're going to see those type of things. Obviously, that makes sense. So looking at the markets today, about what? 2 hours ago, 3 hours ago, I was doing a mentor session, and pretty much everything was in line where it should be. Most things are right now. Actually, the CAD has come down into a little bit better of an area. Euro is a little bit high, right? 116 is a bit high over what its ATR typically was. But for the most part, 117 is not really a figure that is kind of crazy, right? That's exactly where it should be, right? We're not in a bad place there. The pound dollar, 70, good. I like that. The pound yen, I'm sorry, dollar yen, minus 30, loving that. Dollar Swiss minus 61, loving that. Dollar CAD 179, a little bit big, but again, oil day, so that could definitely happen. Aussie 80 down, love it. Euro pound up 44, love it. Pound yen 40. It's low, but I'm happy with it because it'll start jacking the ATRs back down again. So for the most part, a majority of things are all coming back down into basically acceptable ranges. When I say acceptable ranges, I mean kind of pre-craziness. The ATRs are still big because we have a couple, we have another like 3 days. Basically, by the end of the week is where some of the first large, big, spiky days are going to be taken out of the market. So that will be nice. Again, when there is less volatile candles, when the ATRs are smaller, that means the spreads are smaller. That means the risk levels are smaller. I'm kind of tired of finding like 70 pip zones on 30-minute charts. I'm just not down with that. It's just, for me, it's just not worth the risk. So that's what we're looking for. CPI starting off the day today, again, came in exactly as expected. Nothing too crazy to look at there. Looking at the pound, right? PPI came in, obviously not as bad as what they thought, right? So again, that would have been good for the pound. And you're seeing, kind of mixed pound, a little bit down here, a little bit up here, but with euro strength overall. The final business climate, again, a little bit worse than expected. But then you saw the core durable goods was really down in the U.S. That, kind of hurt the U.S. dollar across the board today. Durable goods was up, but again, it's the cores that people are worried about the most right now with everything going on. Oil number. You guys can see, where is it? 10:30 right here. Again, not a big miss, not necessarily surprised about that one. 1.6 isn't that far off. And again, with the amount of people that are not driving, not doing things, I'm not surprised that is close. Again, I expected it to be way down. And again, because there's not a lot of usage, it's, there wasn't much to tweak. So shouldn't have been that difficult of a number today. And I actually didn't even get a chance to look at it again. Homeschooling. Hashtag homeschooling. It's going to be an entire another movement. I was joking with one of my parents today. All the boys got their custom gloves today, so they were pretty excited. And all the parents are like, "Oh, hopefully we're gonna get to use them," and da da da. And we will, just maybe down the road a little bit. But it was one of those things that one of my assistant coaches, he has a son that is pretty wild too. And I was like, I'm trying not to medicate the one kid. And I was like, how you holding out there? He's like, I'm going crazy. The two kids are fighting because they're a couple years apart, so they're like just old enough to fight, but like just old, just difference in age that it's not fair. And like one of them's 9, I think the other's like 5 or something like that, 5 or 6. So he's like, yeah, I'm going crazy. I was like, yeah, by the end of this, the big question will be is how many parents that are doing homeschooling are going to need their kids' medication by the time they go back to school? That's the big question. That'll be the next over under that we come up with is what is the true cost of homeschooling? How many parents will be on medication, whether it be ADHD or anything else? And because medical marijuana is listed as an essential service, how many new adults will be back on it after this, the homeschooling period of time, right? We just got word today my kids are home. They've been home for 1.5 weeks, so it was supposed to be originally 2, and it'll be 4 more weeks after this. It was extended for 4 weeks out. It's like, oh, God. So at this point, we're going into May, so they have like a month of school left if we go back then. I'm wondering, a lot can happen in a month, and again, we're seeing some good numbers and some good results, and it'd be interesting to see. Like after the kids have been off for a month and a half, what does school look like when you go back? Like, are kids going to remember anything? Are they going to remember the routines? Are they going to remember where they're supposed to line up? Are they going to remember the rotations? I feel like it's almost like starting school all over again. It'll be interesting for teachers. That going back in. I would be looking forward to the peace and quiet at that point. And yeah, and then even on top of that, it'll be interesting to see what happens at daycares because once all the daycares close down, you don't technically have daycare. And I saw a couple places that were like, "Oh, for $50, we'll reserve your spot." It's like, what? It's like you'll reserve my spot? Seriously? You're the one that threw us out. It should, you should be paying me $50 to stay. Um, but I think there's going to be a big run on daycare after this too. So who knows, man? It's going to be crazy. I'm just at this point. I'm just kind of hoping that like summer doesn't really get messed up. Like they don't decide to just take away summer vacation and like make the kids go. Because if put it this way, if they take the kids' summer vacation away, a lot of people are going to complain. It's like, why have I been homeschooling my kids for 6 weeks if you're going to take their vacation and teach them all the same stuff anyway? Doesn't that seem like a waste of time? But yeah, we'll see how it all kind of evens out at the end. Because I don't know, like the president said, there's some areas that are really not affected much at all, and then there's other areas like New York that are. I don't know. I mean, I'm hoping this is, we've seen the kind of peak in New York by June or July. Um, Hopefully, I mean, we can hope, right? I know Italy's numbers were a little bit surprising today. Some things went up, some things went down. And then the report from John Hopkins is we were better prepared than the other nation, which is nice to hear. But we'll see what the eventual, the totals are. All right. So with that being said, let's jump down into the scanner. All right, so again, scanner not fully back online. Just I've been mentioning this. We need the ATRs to come back down into acceptable ranges. We're seeing the pound dollar. Again, you guys were seeing the blue over here. The pound dollar, dollar Swiss, and dollar yen. Again, all uptrend setup situations. 4 hours are pulling back a little bit. Little consolidation here, a little bit continuation here. Again, we'll see what those look like. Then we have euro dollar, Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar, and then dollar CAD. Again, for the most part, it looked like a little bit of dollar strength in here. And again, I don't know if I fully agree with that, but again, that's what we're seeing here. And then mixed on the bottom time frame. So still a little bit muddled in the majors. Euro, you're seeing strength more or less across the board, except versus the pound, which again you're seeing it go up because you have a pullback versus the dollar. We're also seeing it go up. So we're really seeing kind of strength, and again you can see on the lower time frames, and then more or less strength across the board. I don't know. I feel like I feel like the reason why you're seeing strength here. When I say strength, you're seeing consolidation, consolidation, a bit of an anchor break, so mostly blue. With Spain's numbers being as high as they are, surpassing China as far as deaths go, I'm kind of surprised that you're continuing to see strength with this. Maybe because they're not doing the same level of easing. Maybe it's because they can't. Um, don't know, but I mean, I don't really think there's anything that justifies this, and I don't know. I mean, I feel like at this point, if you're a country that hasn't really been affected yet, you pretty much know how to handle the situation. I think there's enough people and enough things have been set up. But I just feel like, again, I feel like slowdowns and people being off, and I feel like Europe is going to have a harder time to recover from this whole thing. So a lot of this surprises me that you're seeing this blue over here. Inside the Canadian basket, for the most part, again, you're seeing, CAD Swiss, CAD Yen, both of those are having a little bit of a pullback today. You're seeing on lower time frames as well. Euro CAD, consolidation, really not a whole lot, and a lot of that is because we just had craziness there. Again, consolidation here, consolidation, and then obviously dollar CAD is down set up. Again, that is totally acceptable because you guys know, I mean, that was up to 146. That was just way too high up there. There's no reason it should have been that high. I don't know if I'm like, we should have said everything we had up there and then taken it all back this, for like a 5 cent difference. If the banks weren't huge crooks, it would have made the most sense, but they're not. They're not, doing good. Um, Aussie, you can see everything is really in consolidation. We're kind of stuck. For the most part, it was a red day, but we're still pulled back inside of the same green color. So, the question is this a pullback for a push higher, or is this starting the next big push to the downside? Um, I don't know. I'm kind of torn on this one. I feel like this is just a pullback in a greater rally. Like I said, it spent so much time just going south. I feel like it's time to bring a little bit of strength back on that one also. But again, right now, everything is showing that it's in a consolidation pattern and, anchor breaks to the downside. And like I said, it was down today. It was down in 24 hours, 73 pips. So a nice day, right? An average day, right, of where it should be. And again, I'm happy about that. I think that's, extremely healthy for what we're looking for, right? As far as the pound goes, again, pound is kind of giving us a little bit mixed things, right? I mean, when you have in here, it's giving us all blue strength across the board, but the euro pound is up. Again, that would be over in the euro basket, but the euro pound is there, right? And that's showing us that, if it's going up in the last 42 hours, it's kind of pound weakness, right? And for the most part, everything else is small. Pound yen is only 73. Pound dollar 70. Again, that one's pretty good. But pound Aussie, pound CAD, pound New Zealand, a little bit of strength there, a little anchor break, but at least those are showing as positive on the lower time frames. You're seeing pullbacks in the other three. So not too much has changed. All green, or I'm sorry, all blue here in the pound basket, all red in the Aussie basket. And like I said, we still need a little bit of time. And again, this is just one of the problems with scanners that, when you have days that are just so exponentially outside of where the curve would be, as far, the bell curve, as far as where the price will typically stay, it just causes all kinds of problems. I mean, it's all over the place right now. All right, so that's kind of what we're dealing with. Again, we'll get through this, and this stuff will return back to normal. All right, so that's scanner world. Like I said, next week we'll probably be able to focus a bit more in the scanner and break it down. I think that will make a little bit of a difference. All right. With that being said, breaking things down. So I mentioned yesterday, guys, Nadex wants me to come back on and do some more stuff. Next week, they want me to do on Tuesday. They want me to do a first quarter review and then where I see the second quarter going, which should be pretty interesting. So we'll start looking at some larger time frames and really talk about how much movement we had and kind of where these buying and selling areas and demand and everything will kind of come in at. And I definitely have to prepare for that because again, you guys know I'm much more of a day trade type guy. They also asked me, and again, I brought this up. This is one of my ideas. They asked for other things that we could talk about, and I said, hey, now that you have these new touch brackets, which by the way, FYI, the name is probably going to be changing for the touch brackets. Okay. I was like, hey, you just came out with these golden oil ones. We should have somebody highlight those. They were like, that would be awesome. Could you do that? I was like, yeah, I could probably do something on that. So I guess I will be spending some time with some golden oil touch brackets to explain where you can put those in and how to place those correctly and things. I think that one will be in 3 or 4 weeks. So hopefully things kind of tone down a little bit before that one. And then next week it'll be the review. The next week after it'll be a bit of analysis, and then there was another strategy. Oh, I think they want me to do the ATR one as well. I have a presentation that I've wanted to do for a long time on ATRs. You guys hear me talk about it, and I really don't. It's funny. I don't really hear many other people talk about ATRs, but I really find that it's important, and it's particularly important for Nadex traders to know kind of what's expected and where you're going. So a lot of great things coming up. Be great if they had treasury options. Yeah, I mean, Nadex does what they need to. It's one of those things. I mean, you could recommend it, but yeah, I mean, you could. I mean, I don't know. Got to expand a little bit. Yeah, ATR is super important for Nadex. Honestly, ATR in general is important. Again, it gives you some type of a time frame, what can happen. I mean, if you have earnings or news that's going to affect a particular company, understanding what it can do in that time frame and is there enough time for it to happen is really, really important. And it's something that I feel is like kind of a hidden gem that people just don't focus on, whether it's options or Nadex or even just anything else. It's like, hey, listen, this is how far I want it to move, but there's news. Is there time from now till then? And if there is news, how much can it move after the fact and vice versa? And is a risk level good? Is a risk level not good? How far out of the ordinary? I mean, again, it's just, there's so much stuff out there. But yeah, so I have a presentation for that that they want me to put together. It's that one's about 75% done. And what I'll do is I will actually turn that into a free course afterwards when that one's finished. So it'll be like a webinar, but then it'll also be a free course that if they want to get more information, sign up, get access to the free course on ATRs. Okay. All right. So let's go over to the charts. Click this. Bam. All right. So Aussie dollar in the daily, you guys can see that red that we were talking about here, right? Now, again, it is giving us that downtrend setup on the daily weekly. I wouldn't say that there is a zone here. I wouldn't have used that necessarily, but it's obviously bouncing off of that wick over wick to the downside. But again, you could have said the same thing here, and that actually did pull back down as well. So it is a downtrend setup. I don't necessarily use the upper time frames, but it is something that we do have going on. Dropping it down to the 4 hour, you can kind of see what we have here, right? We're still holding that kind of the Harry Potter on the downside if it does pull back. Now, it has pulled back to a level on the 4 hour, which is pretty interesting. We'll see if we have the ability to break it. It's had no pullback in the last, basically, 20 hours, 24 hours. Looking at it here on the hourly, you can see, it came through. There's really not a whole lot in here. I mean, there's a little bit where we're at right now. This is the first area of testing and the second area. before we get down to the eventual 3. It's kind of like 1 strike, 2 strike, 3 strikes, and bam, you're out to the bottom side. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. At this point, I would say the way that it's chunking through, we have definitely turned into more of a downtrend at this point. We haven't really had many places to enter, and that's been the problem with this one. As you can see, from where the peak was here, that big push up, I mean, what has it done? Pulled back, but didn't come high. Pushed down again, pulled back, didn't really grab much. Came across, boom, drop off another cliff, kind of came over again. So it's bouncing and chunking off levels. You know, here, here. This one was down here, right? This level here. Now we're down at this side, so it's kind of like, is this next chunk? Are we looking for targets down into this area, right on the 30 minutes? So, you know, for me, looking at it curve-wise, again, if this is the top and this big mass of green is the bottom, again, we mark this level off as this would be the kind of like where our short target is going to be. We're kind of right in the middle. There's really not a whole lot we can do. If anything, I'd say, hey, listen, I'm probably bearish, but getting an entry in here has been a bit difficult to the downside. Had you shorted this from the top, you know, anything up in this upper area here, you know, you've been doing quite well. But it's missed all kind of the entries by just a little bit, right? This is that one that we talked about last night, that kind of basing level here. So that's about the only entry, and again, that was the peak, kind of pushing to the downside. All right. Looking at this one. All right. So same picture. Candles are slightly different. They weren't as clean with this one. And again, the economies are more or less similar. You know, dropping this down to a 4-hour, you guys can see over here, right? Not super clean. And remember we mentioned this last night. The areas that this one could grab from, really not the best, right? I mean, where's the clean, smooth pops of the downside? I mean, here's one, but this didn't necessarily form the best way. You know, clearing candle here, clearing candle here. I mean, the only thing we had was way up top. On an hourly basis, that's where we got to. And again, it didn't even make it to this peak here. It got turned around before it, right? Typically, we see it push us slightly higher. Didn't even make it that far. But it has pulled all the way back again. And as I mentioned last night, we are pulling back down to this zone. And I don't have much faith in this zone, right? Right, here's where we are right now. Looking last night, we were sitting right over here, okay? And it did turn. You know, we were waiting for it to go higher. It did not make it there. It turned and went all the way down today. But I mentioned here, look, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I'm actually looking for some type of a break. In this one, I do think we could have a potential Harry Potter right here. And as you guys can see, looking for a 1 to 3. If it retraces back up again, it is before the opposing zone. So would not use the 1 to 5. I think the 1 to 3 target for this one is probably not bad. Now the spread on this one is 3. The risk level on this one, if you guys take it short, is about 20. So not horrible, starting to come back into context because again, the hours and the 30-minute candles are finally starting to wear out some of these gigantic moves. But I think that's not a bad kind of setup to the downside in this position. Okay, that is Aussie New Zealand. Let's go over to Aussie Yen. Okay, so Aussie Yen on the daily. As you can see, we still kind of have this peak up here. It's like, oh, it's right there. It's there. It's there. We'll shrink this down. There we go. So these are the zones we had marked off. And again, last night we were sitting up in this range and we were talking about targets to this bottom side. As you guys can see on the hourly, we had marked off, actually, let's see. Yeah, we had that zone marked off, but I think it was done off the 30-minute. Yeah, it was from this area. And you guys can see it came just slightly higher. You know, we had this mark as far as being kind of the upper side. And that's kind of, and actually see the little peak right there. It should, this is the start of the zone on the top. So little peak above, and that's all we got. And it kind of pushed it back to the downside. So, you know, not a bad little area. Again, it put a zone in right where we had drawn that line last night. You know, target-wise, yeah. It pushed. Like I said, it went into the zone pretty deep. I still think this needs to come a bit lower. As you guys can see, we had that check all the way in the bottom area down here. I think this will probably chunk through. As far as the first target goes, that was not bad. We'll continue pushing. I mean, it's going to have a little problem here, probably a little bit of a problem here, maybe a little bit here, but I think the overall target to the downside would be down here. All right. And again, that would be back down to the lows. And this kind of matches what we saw for the Aussie dollar. Kind of that same push back to the downside. This one was unable to get really much of an entry today. I was looking to get short. I just really couldn't find anything that I loved about it when I was at the computer. And you guys can see no pullback, just kind of slow pop, slow pop. And again, it's busting through these lines to the downside. All right, so short Aussie Yen, again, look for pullbacks in these levels of basing. Look for these big drop areas. Those will be potential shorts for us tomorrow. Aussie CAD. So obviously we've had some CAD strength. We see it in the dollar today. The dollar CAD obviously is down 178. This one is also pushing to the downside. Starting off on the daily, you can see this one has making more of a case that we are pushing lower, right? Here's what we got on the 4 hour. So 4 hour, very, very strong up. We kind of run into some junk right over here, and now we're pulling all the way back very, very fast. So again, still short this position. I think this one has about another 50 pips to run until we get into an area where buyers can potentially step in. You guys can see it right here. Again, we've had one here, one here. That's what I'm kind of looking for. But it's very, very hard. I mean, unless you snag this little piece up top, which we were waiting for this. You can see that this one went just above the prior here. Again, this is the gap. This is the trap that I talked about, the support and resistance gap. Everybody that went long, boom, straight down, and there hasn't been a way to get into this trade since. Now, spread on this one is 3 right now. Like I said, I think we got a bit to go before this one. I'm going to see how it reacts when it gets into this zone to see whether this is a turning point or if this will continue to push lower. As I said, I think we could burst through this first one. The second one would be the big one that we want to watch. And again, matched off the other pairs, the Aussie pairs, we could have a Harry Potter situation where we punch through and continue to go lower in the Aussie CAD. Aussie Swiss, okay. Aussie Swiss, you can see same pattern. Okay, this one got super close. We mentioned it before. I think it was the hourly. Yeah, you can see this one got front run. We didn't quite get up there. We are in the zone now. So again, had you taken a short, you just got out of your target. We have pushed deep into it again. We did bounce out of it once and immediately push back in. So this zone is more or less smoked. As soon as this candle closes, this will disappear. Next zone below is approximately 50 pips as well. So it's very similar to the Aussie CAD. After that, again, you got some jumbling. These two charts are almost identical. At this point, again, the check here for me is a good entry up top, and this is going to be either the target or the opposing zone on the downside. Okay. I'm not as worried about as much in the middle. I think, again, you guys can see this zone didn't really put up much resistance. This would be considered in the top 33% or high in the curve. We're kind of approaching the middle right here, and I'm not looking really to get long until we get back in the bottom. I think this will come back down. I think it's a little bit behind the Aussie dollar and a little bit behind the Aussie yen, but I would have to say, looking at these 6 so far, I have to feel that I am definitely more bearish the Aussie. All right, Aussie Singapore, same pullback. Again, this one turned in a funky area. This one has a spread of 3 as well. And again, turned off not a great area, so I'm not as concerned about focusing on this one right now. You guys can see we've pulled all the way back down, and we're sitting in that zone. Again, this one's going to get smoked as well. It's already kind of pierced almost all the way through the end. I don't think it's going to go all the way down, grab that last little bit and push. And little zone here, but this zone I'm not as worried about. This one's okay. But I think before we get long this one, you would want to get back down to the lows again. Minimum. Okay, I wouldn't want to try to pick any of these out in the middle. All right, so the Aussies are kind of like, they're the Aussies. Looking at CAD. All right, so CAD Swiss. Actually, we're going to skip CAD Swiss. We'll just go across. So this is the CAD Yen. Right, we had talked about kind of coming back up to the start of this gap area. Here's the 4 hour, right? So there's the zone that we drew. If I extend that zone across, it goes to the bottom of the green, and you guys can see we did ding right off the top of it on the 4 hour. So it touched it. Again, the yellow was kind of the mark that we were looking for before we got into it. And since that time, it's been a pretty big pushback to the downside. So you can see there is the smallest of overlaps in there, but you can see that the gray changes colors right here. Okay. So again, we did end up hitting into that zone. So it was a valid entry. And at this point from there, at least on the 4 hour, it's not, I think did we hit it already? Yeah, we hit it already. Oops, not there. Put it on the top of that one. There we go. Okay, so again, you can see we did go past the 1 to 3 already. So that was kind of the trade that we were looking for on this one. Again, going up, filling that gap, grabbing the top side of that gap on the hourly. I think you can see it better on the hourly. Yeah, you can kind of see what I use on the hourly here. Again, this would have been the gap fill, right? Well, the base of the gap fill would have been up here, but there's the base. What I did is I grabbed this top section. Actually, I probably did on the 30. Yeah, it's done on the 30 minute. You guys see there on the 30 minute? That's what I was able to use. It was basically this green inside of the same zone. So instead of pulling just a little gap here when we had supply right above it, I grabbed the entire supply zone. Okay. The total risk on this one was about 25. So again, not horrible. You can see the reaction off of it. And we talked about that yesterday, some of the other levels. But there was the reaction, and there was the retracement. Okay. Again, playing the gap, not playing the junk that we had in front of it. As you can see, there was a couple levels before it. You see these in here. Again, this one went down. I was going to remove it up, hit the next one, created another one, went up, boom. So all this was just junk. We were ignoring that. We were going for the top section, and that's where we hit. You can see there's 2 green stripes going through that zone. right? You see those two stripes? And that's more or less what I use to form the zone, okay? And again, the gold was the alert. So CAD yen, nice little setup. Again, CAD Swiss, not worried about it. It's not a volume for us right now. Swiss yen. How about that one on the daily? For hourlies, I guess, right? Those are the old hourly ones that we're talking about. The pop here down, again, this one is already triggered. Take that off. That one is triggered. This one is not triggered, but take it off. All right, so there's your daily. Okay, so we had talked about coming up to this level and we got front run days ago or weeks ago at this point, right? Price came back up again. We did trigger last night. We were sitting up in that zone and I talked about, hey, listen, this is a potential short. On the lower time frame, again, this would have been filling the gap and it did not actually get down there on the 4 hour. It only hit it on the daily. So some of you may not have gotten entered. It was quite a large area. I mean, you're talking about, 35 on the daily, not bad. Most of you would have dropped down to this one and taken the 25 pips risk, and we did not get entered. Was a nice, again, nice zone. We just would have hit, actually, we're very, very close to hitting the 1 to 3 right now. But again, for me, I probably would have taken probably would have put this on the 4 hour. I didn't do it. Didn't get entered. So no trade on this one, but again, the analysis was right. We just missed it by a few pips. And like I said, on the hourly, you were golden. 30-minute, not so much, right? No, you can say, I'm sorry, the 4 hour, you're fine. The daily, you were fine. You hit. This one, just missed. Okay? But again, this is a prime example, guys, of why we focus on the curve. Okay? Like I said, a lot of people see that sheet and they go through that sheet on the weekly report and they're like, yeah, I don't even know what to do with this because I don't really talk about curve that much. And I mention it, guys, but it's just in different pieces. So again, curve is basically giving us some type of a bias. And what it is talking about is highs and lows inside of that 30% quadrant. When things are at the upper end of that quadrant, it tends to be extended. It tends to retrace back again, right? Obviously, we weren't all-time highs. It's a little bit different of a situation, but we got to break through, right? That's the important thing. But how many times does it go up there and hit this top and turn around, right? So we are more bearish biased than the top side, and vice versa. When things are low in the curve, we are more bullish, okay? So again, this is another one of those ones where it's starting to pull back, and it's got a couple more days. If we end up over here, this has now since gone from a high back into a medium zone. And again, that's what we're looking for. You stack the odds in your favor. This one, like I said, on the daily, you were golden. If you dropped it and refined the zone, unfortunately, we got a little bit too conservative, and it cost us. And again, that's the game that you play when you drop the lower time frames and keep lowering the risk smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. That eventually you could get front run by one of the larger positions, and that's exactly what happened here. Okay, we just missed it. The analysis was correct. Price moved down 3 to 1. Nice 50 pip mover on this one on the day. So nothing we can do with it right now. We'll see if it's able to balance and continue its pattern to the downside. Going across, and let's look at the European pairs. Oh, who's messaging me? That's weird. So I just so my phone, I get these weather alerts, and we're getting a coastal flood advisory. I'm like, huh? Coastal flood advisory? What are you talking about? Nobody's out right now. Actually, do you guys? Okay, so this is the hold on one sec. So all my friends now, basically most businesses, unless you're essential, you're stuck home. So I've had 3 friends now that are all going fishing. And I don't know if you guys have these or not, but I guess snakeheads are another kind of, Asian export that we have here that are invasive. We have snakeheads are starting to tear up the Chesapeake Bay now, a lot of the watershed areas. And they've kind of basically turned people loose on them. I had 3 friends this week have all gone fishing. They don't know each other, just random people, one guy from high school, one guy that I met as an adult, another guy through the cross. And everybody's going snakehead fishing. And they're like, oh my God, it is so good. Instead of making catfish nuggets, they're making snakehead nuggets. The fish is pretty crazy looking. It does look like a snake with fish fins, but everybody's eating snakehead now. It's like the new delicacy for everybody to eat. Crabs are not in, so let's have snakeheads. So I don't know if any of you guys have eaten a snakehead, but yeah, that's the new thing. Anyway, let's go back. Random message from people like, what? We're doing what? You want to get what? And it's the strangest thing. You're like, a snakehead? What the hell is that? All right, on the daily again. We had that big pullback, the craziness candle in the euro. Again, this is the same thing, except it's reversed for the Aussie, right? All the Aussie pairs looks exactly the same. It's the big spike down, the green pull up where it's red here, and then now we have the green pulling back down again. So the analysis is basically reversed. Now this one we are pulling up to a 4-hour zone, which is pretty interesting. I think this one could potentially give us a flip based off the day that the euro has. It is quite a large area. It is kind of a weird, funky area because this green candle went all the way to the very end, but it didn't breach it, so it's still drawn. It's 121 pips, so it's quite large. The daily ATR on this one is still 613 pips. So again, with that in mind, again, we're not going to take a 4-hour zone on that one. On the 4-hour, you can see we got some room. It's not really that great of a zone on the hourly. On the 30-minute, we are getting close, but even on the 30-minute, we're talking about 99 pip zone. For me, it's kind of a no thanks. I'm not taking a 99 pip risk zone on a 30-minute level. It just doesn't make any sense to me. All right, so for me, I'm walking past the Euro Aussie. Again, technically, will it bounce? Probably. It looks like it wants to. It's had problems here in the past. Just for setting up a trade, it just is not worth the 99 pip risk, in my opinion. Euro Swiss. Okay, Euro Swiss on the daily. You can see that this one is popping. It's having a good rally off that bottom. This one has not seen the pullback that the Euro Aussie has. On the 4-hour, you can see it's pulling away. I guess I can delete these now. Pull those off. And you guys can see it's kind of the same. There's still so much wick in here, so much pullback on this Euro Swiss position. Here, I mean, is this explosive movement? Not really. I mean, I can try to make it look really like, ooh, but even then, look how thick these are. Right? It's not a very thin line, right? It's thick candles back and forth, a lot of wick, kind of. I mean, it almost kind of looks like you know those like sound vibration things where it's like it's like boo and lines get real fuzzy. That's what this looks like. Like it was a normal chart, right? It was the euro dollar, like a normal chart, and somebody put it on a speaker, vibrated this one, and made it not as much fun, right? So it just I don't know. Not really a big fan of this one. The spread is small. The ATR on this one is 63. I liked where it opened over the weekend, and since that time, I haven't really been able to find an entry, even though this one is back into its normal range of things already. So not a horrible one. Euro pound. Okay, Euro pound was up what? Now it's up 44 for the day. So this is what it looks like. Again, we are having that consolidation. We had those crazy spikes up and down. This one has a daily ATR of 199. Just like the gas, right? Gas 199, guys. If you saw it inside of Discord today. Gas down the street at non-Sam's Club was $1.99. Although at this point now I'm kind of jealous that Kansas or whatever has 99-cent gas. I'm like, wait a second, why am I paying $1 more? What about equality, right? Equality. All Americans are equal. Where's my 99-cent gas? So I will not touch anything with snake in the name. Everybody says they're amazing. You just fry it up like catfish and you're good to go. I don't know. Maybe don't be a wimp, Ernest. I don't know. Ernest, the last time you were a wimp, you had a child that put sauce on their wings. So, I mean, look where that got you. Sorry, guys, inside joke. I wonder if Ernest can smoke it. I'm telling you, everybody that's eaten one has been like, yeah, they're really, really good. I don't know. I've heard that from other people too. So yeah, so Maryland Wildlife is basically like kill every one of them, eat every one, pull it out, kill it, use it for bait. I don't care. But most important, and if you want to eat it, eat it. All right. So euro pound consolidating 4-hour. You guys can see that we've literally bounced back and forth. It did come off a 4-hour zone today. Again, we talked about having a zone just a little bit lower on the hourly. You guys can see, is it hourly or 30-minute? I can't tell now. Unfortunately, these things don't stay fixed. Yeah, there's a zone sitting down here. But you guys can see we did bounce back and forth off this 4-hour zone. Again, top and bottom, it's just unfortunately, again, we talked about top and bottom, but I mean, look at the risk of this one: 75 pips on the top and 97 on the bottom. So again, technically, did it bounce off of it? Sure. On a technical basis, it did go off of it. On the hourly, it was in a zone that was just way too big. You wouldn't have taken this. Again, the candles are too large, so it's just not something that you'd want to take. The risk level is not worth it in that case. And again, we had a consolidated, again, low, 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 high, high, high. So again, a little bit of consolidation. We'll see this rolling kind of ends up. The only thing I've been trading on this one is looking for very, very small kind of time frames, and even down in this level in the 30-minute. This is okay, but I prefer to use the green candle to draw off of, not the big red spike. And although it hit it, I just didn't like the entry. So I don't think that it was as good. East of the Mississippi, they get a little weird. You get east of the Wait, what do you mean we get weird? What is that supposed to mean? Um, so again, Euro pound guys. I still think top and bottom is probably the best two bets down here, and again, probably even up. I mean, there is one up here, but this one is actually not looking bad. It's kind of the upper end of the curve, and price is at a really really difficult time. So again, tomorrow news wise, you know, there's a bunch of pound news tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. The official rank, bank rates and monetary policy and things like that. Actually, I didn't show that. Let me pull that in real quick. Um, this is what the news is looking tomorrow. So we have pound retail sales in the morning again that will affect this number, and then 8 o'clock. All this stuff again, any type of speeches I think will be pretty important. Oh God, they made it bigger. Look, they made it bigger. It was 1.5. Now it's 1.648. God, they're making it bigger. Yeah. All right. But again, all this pound news is definitely going to have the ability to affect what we have going on here. So the way to play this one is to look at it before the news, about a half hour before. Start looking for levels, see if it drives into a level, and that's going to be the best way to play it. So I mean, if we can pull up in here or up in this zone, again, we can look for some Nadex contracts. This zone may be large. This zone may be that's actually 22, so that's not too bad. That one's 31. But pull it back to the 4 hour. If we can be down here, I mean, who wants to take 90, 90 pips worth of risk? You trade it in Nadex and do a little bit better. Okay, there's better ways to do it. So Euro pound is something definitely tomorrow morning. I think is going to be something to watch. I think there'll be some nice plays in this one. Yeah, the job report looks crazy. It might be too big to get any movement priced in, perhaps. No. Like I said, Ernest, as far as the unemployment news goes, everybody knows it's going to be bad. And if it's better, it's kind of one of those things. I mean, honestly, right now, the passing of the stimulus bill kind of I don't know. It's going to be a big number, right? Everybody knows it's going to be big. If it's better than what they're forecasting, people are like, oh, okay, it's not, we got a stimulus bill. We're sitting there on the high. It's not bad. If it's worse than expected, now that we have the stimulus bill in such close proximity, it's also kind of like, yeah, I mean, there's people unemployed, but in a stimulus bill, if you're unemployed, you're getting a paycheck. If you are a contractor, you're getting a paycheck. If you're self-employed, you're getting a paycheck, which are things that nobody expected in a million years. I mean, contractors pretty much were convinced they were screwed, and self-employed, good luck. You don't get unemployment when you're self-employed. But the fact that they're going to give you those kinds of things because of the stimulus bill, that actually softens the blow quite a bit. Now, if it comes in at 2.5, that's a lot. I mean, the market's going to react, but at the end of the day, it's kind of like, listen, the people that are following this, they just said we're all going to get paid. I mean, businesses are going to be incentivized to not fire employees. If you're already fired, great, you're going to get a check, right? You're going to be whole still. So I think knowing all those things, it's going to be blunted. It's not going to be as much of a bloodbath as it was, because everybody knows it's going to be bad. So I think the timing of the stimulus has actually made it probably a little bit safer. Okay, with the market will still move when everybody's like, "Oh my God, all these people are unemployed," But at the same time, it's going to be like, "Wait, but all these people are getting checks." So yeah. But at the same time, could you imagine what the jobs number is going to be like in 3 months when all these people need to go back to work? Like all these companies are like, "Hey, we need employees." Yeah. Now the big question is, are they going to because there's going to be so much demand of employees trying to go back into jobs? Are employers going to lowball salaries? Like, could anybody be laid off now and then hired back at a lower rate? And that's kind of what I'm wondering. That's because again, when people are desperate, you just take any job you can get. Like, listen, we got so much stuff for this now. This was a great time for us to reevaluate. And how many people that were old and getting paid a lot of money will not be able to get the same rates when they go back again? Right? Because if you got let go, there's no. I mean, you don't have to. I mean, if they come back, you're a brand new employee again. They can be nice and pay you the same amount. But think about somebody that's been with a company for 20 years, right? You're on the upper end of the pay scale. You got let go. Now you have no employees. You need to hire people back again. You can say, hey, listen, the new policy is we don't pay people that anymore. It's too high. We can't afford that. These are the new rates. Oh, you don't want the job? Okay, that's okay, right? Because they've already taken the hit on it. So, the digital US, no, it's not going in. Now's not the time to do that. The time is just to get money, people, get people checks right now. I mean, will that eventually come? Sure, probably. But I mean, whatever. I mean, think about it right now. I mean, I would say that most things are probably digital. I mean, I don't carry cash. I couldn't tell you the last time I really carried any cash. I mean, most things are technically digital right now, you know? So, eh, I mean, whatever. All right, so your yen guys on the daily, okay? Daily, again, last night we talked about this. We were punching into a zone, and you guys can see what it looks like today on the 4 hour. From that same zone, we had a turnaround. So you can't see it here. We'll mark it off. We'll mark it off so you can see it, right? And there's what we got on the 4 hour, okay? So we came up, hit, and now we are pushing away from that zone. Okay, you're already 1-to-1, and again, a daily on this one is a bit big, right? The daily is about 207 pips. It is coming back down again. You know, I know it's still high, but it looks like it's starting to kind of turn and kind of come back into reality. Again, we are pushing away. We are high on the curve, so everything says short. As you can see here, this one did come off, and again, nice push to the downside, right? You know, not a bad push. Smooth those so we can get a little cleaner view. And then on a 30-minute, you know, this is what you're looking at. So on the 30-minute, you can see there was a kind of failure to go higher. It did come back up and retest it. So this is on the daily, right? Here we will fib property this one. We will change this one to daily. And then what I can do here is I can draw this one and go, whoops, I turn it off. Bam, right there. So you guys can see, did come back up and retest on a lower time frame. As I said, the market that we're in right now, I'm loving the small time frames. They're awesome, which I've always liked better, but now I really like them. But there was your small time frame. Again, high on the curve, nice little spike up, was pushing down, came right back up, and the risk was small. I don't know if you guys can see this or not. And I'll see if you guys can see this. The spread or the risk of this one was 13 pips. 13 pips, the spread is 1. How could you not like that? With everything else we have going on, how could you not like that little bit of a zone that we have in there? Okay? The 1 to 3 was homeschooling and kids waking up early. It's definitely in front of the opposing zone. So again, nice little setup. If anybody got this one, this triggered about an hour and a half ago. You're looking around the 8 o'clock time frame for this setup. So nice little bit. Good point. About you know, like the digital currency. Yeah, I mean, eventually they'll go there, but I mean, I don't know. The whole thing, like, here's the thing, okay? What everybody claims is the biggest benefit, right? That, oh, you know, digital currencies, yada, 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 you know, anonymity and all this other stuff like that. Is it easier? Would it be nice for them to hit a button and say, bam, everybody has $2,000 right in their accounts right now? Sure. But how many people have been robbed? And I mean, if they hacked it, then you could hack the entire digital system. I just don't think we're quite up to that level yet. I feel like it would be manipulated too easy. You know, I think, you know, having like a physical dollar that actually backs up what we have, and people still using physical dollars and having it still in our presence matters. I don't know that we're quite ready for digital yet. And technically, you know, it's like, oh, well, this person stole it and this person stole it and it got transferred over here. There's not as much anonymity as people think that there is. Will it go that way eventually? Sure. Everything's going electronic. And if that's the electronic format that it goes in, sure. But I don't think we will ever really get rid of, like, hey, that's it. There's no such thing as paper anymore. You know, um, I don't know. It's a level of inequality. So again, small trade on this one. I embarrass this position. I do think this one will continue to drop the downside, as I do with most of the European pairs. Euro New Zealand. Again, this one is still a bit too crazy for me. 556. As you can see on the 4 hour, we pushed up again, rallying up from this base here until we get up top. Not really looking to get any type of short in that one. Again, more or less impulse correction, impulse, which is kind of a crappy one. Correction, big impulse, correction, and then impulsing again. So we're getting closer. But this zone right here, guys, is at 86. So a little bit too much for my liking. As you can see, it's really two different levels. So even if we took the smaller one, which is on the top, I mean, in all honesty, I like the hourly better. But even if we took just the one on the top, you know, you're still looking. Oops, not that. I just hit the window key. Blah. You think those old people in Congress are going to know anything about digital currency? No, but it's a. You know why they're saying it, right? They said it because all they're trying to do is be like, well, we voted for this, and we did this, and we did this. Nancy Pelosi has no idea what digital currency is, not at all, nor how to use it, nor how how it would benefit. But what she's trying to do is get that young vote. Yeah, they're trying to stack up the young vote. Um, yeah, I will say, I don't know. I think I posted it. Did I post it earlier, guys? I don't know if I posted it for you or I posted it for somebody else. The John Hopkins report. You guys better read that John Hopkins report and understand it, because we are going to hear nothing but the John Hopkins report at the election. I'm just telling you right now, we are going to know that thing inside and out, every single piece of it, every word, every letter, every recommendation, every statistic. We're going to know every one of them. They are literally, that's all we're going to hear at election time. Just saying. Be ready. But again, because the spread on this one is already 5, it's too big. This one is quite large. Again, Euro New Zealand is not the risk I really want to get into right now. So looking at the daily, here is the bounce back that the euro has had. We were all the way down here into the 106. We were in that range where people are starting to get the sign saying parity, 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 parity. And we were all the way back up to 109. So again, pretty decent rally. Again, up another 100 in the last 24 hours. As you guys can see on the 4-hour, again, we have a base level put in. There's not really the best levels until we get back up here to 111. Again, quite a far run. There's a small level here and a little choppiness, but nothing really that stands out. A couple small levels here in the way to slow this down, but really not too much. Again, the candles are still there. The 30-minute, we are sitting in a smaller level right now. And again, we saw price already push off 1-to-1 off that level. This may be worth something for a trade. Like I said, I mean, typically we want to stay with the trend as much as we can. If this was high on the curve, then I'd be like, yeah, we want to short. But, I wouldn't quite say that this is high on the curve. We're still kind of low in the region. So we don't necessarily want to short right back into the same area. So, I mean, it's moving, it's turning. It may push down a little bit more. But, if anything, I think it's going to get stuck in this range here, find some buyers, and probably make another attempt higher. So, unlike some of the other pairs, we were able to see supply. This one, I don't feel like the supply is as prevalent. It's just not in your face. Like, hey, listen, there's a zone here. We got to sell, right? There's some things, going on. Again, look, still low in the curve. And on the daily, you can see we're approaching, the middle area, right? We go a little bit higher. We're technically in the middle. Okay, so still mad we never got the entry off this bottom piece here. Still mad we got front run, right? But like I said, once this thing irons out, I think we will get some dollar strength. I think this will push back down. Between the United States and Europe, the United States will be able to handle the crisis overall better. Can't find an emoji to roll my eyes. Yep. Oh, Debbie, you're going to see it. No, they have no idea how Facebook works either. That was pretty funny. Although I do believe that Facebook has gotten to the point where they are so big that they control. So between Facebook and Instagram audiences, I do believe that they control so much, and the power that, I mean, again, it's not just a monopoly. The reach and influence that it has needs regulations. And anybody that says they don't need regulations, again, they're asleep for the last 4 years. The amount of, again, not to use a coin phrase, but again, the amount of fake news that is on there, I think it just goes to show kind of the state of things. Yeah, I wouldn't say that it's one person that has made America kind of hate itself. I would say that I would blame it more on social media. I feel like the hatred level has been taken like 2 and 3 steps forward. But that John Hopkins report, oh God, we're never going to hear the end of it. All right, so again, on the euro, I think this one will continue to go higher, unlike the other pairs. I think it'll go up once it runs into some sellers, though. I think this will come back overall in a longer term to the downside. Euro Singapore, again, this one's rallying. Again, it's pushing higher. It hit off this zone here in the middle. I didn't think it would come back up this high. I thought we'd have some issues. You can see we bounced off this 4-hour zone once. But again, it's an intermediary zone. I think we need to get to the top one, and then we'd be willing to take some shorts. This candle has been as high as basically this. We've been here. We've been about 70% of the way through the zone, 70, 80%. A bit more, I'd probably be willing to take a short off the top of this one again. And like I said, I do think there will be more problems in Europe. I feel like we haven't gotten them yet. I feel, although there has been some news that we could be suddenly starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel in Italy, I think Spain is just picking up, and we're going to see problems there. And there's a couple other European countries we haven't really heard a lot from, And again, hopefully we don't. But I just have a feeling that we will hear more from some of the other, European countries, and what the overall effect is, particularly Germany. I think Germany is something that's going to matter. Okay. All right, so that's Europe. Let's go into the pound. All right, so pound. We won't start off with pound Singapore. Pound yen. Okay, here is it all on the daily, right? We went up. We ended up talking about those zones. We have 2 checks that you guys can see. They weren't on this one, obviously, but you do see we bounced off of a 4-hour zone here. I don't think that we hit it. Oops, I did it again. No, right there. Yeah, we actually did hit it. Okay, so last night, right, here's where we are now. And then last night we were sitting right here. Here. Okay. So we did come up, we did tag this 4 hour window, and it did come all the way back down in 8 hours and ended up cranking the bottom for 3 to 1. So this was a pretty big trade. This is a 300 pip mover, 306 pips to the downside. Again, the risk is not tiny though. I mean, it's kind of like, if you're willing to take a 100 pip risk, sure, it's worth it for 300 in the other direction. But it rallied up pretty well, right? So again, there's where the top section was. Here was that zone we had marked off earlier. I think it was on, it was that one. I want to say, let's see. Time frame was it on? It's not marking it there either. There it is. Okay. There is the result of this one. Okay, so we came all the way back up, guys, and here's a reaction out of it, but it couldn't hold and it went up. So again, had we been taking this one, is it at the top end of the curve? No, but it was a pretty clean zone up top. It ended up bouncing, coming out, and then got cranked on the second run. So the top is the one that actually hit and went lower. Again, this is, again, it's going to happen. You're not going to you're not going to catch every zone, but again, the loss was a little bit smaller on this one at least. All right. And then again, you see some minor consolidation down here. Typically, again, once this one turned here, it's kind of like, unless it pushes and goes back up very fast, if it goes down in bases, it tends not to work out as well. Okay. Now we're pushing down. We do have three, lower highs here. Again, this one, a little bit of a high here, right? But again, for the most part, you're seeing this kind of trend coming across. We are kind of consolidating right now. Retail sales and then the official bank rate is going to have a big effect on this one tomorrow morning. So anything that I give you for this overnight, again, you need to come down and check this one out on these lower time frames. And, start off on your 4 hour. Okay, like I said, this zone is probably good up top. This is probably a good kind of target area. This will be a mover tomorrow, especially with those two numbers. All right. Like I said, you got to go 30 minutes beforehand. I probably, if you're not going to be there for the retail sales number, the rest of this comes out at 8. So again, 7:30, wake up a little bit early, see where we are. And again, we can definitely play the rate hike on, or not rate hike, it'll be rate drop. Get that information tomorrow. They're already at 0, so it's not dropping. All right, pound CAD. So pound CAD came this huge gap and then came all the way crashing back down again. This one is 397 pips on the daily. So again, not the most volume-based pair. A lot of movement, and again, a lot of kind of consolidation. Okay, so we do have this top zone on the 4 hour. It held firm. It came down and grabbed this lower zone here. Again, this is a level on top of a level. I'm still looking at this one, but for a break of this bottom level. It's been hit so many times here. It hit this minor level. I'm waiting for this to continue to push lower, and then still when we get a break below this, the area at what 160, 165.42. Looking for a break and then a retest of that level. I'm looking to take this down. I don't think this will hold. I think it's bouncing. It hit again, but look how much has been chewed up in this zone. Okay, and I think we will push down, and I want to see it hit this area right here. Okay, the target on this one is 162.83 for me. Looking at pound dollar. Okay, pound dollar was up 55. You guys can see it did definitely pull back a little bit today. It was down a little bit worse than where it was, but overall in the last 24 hours, you can see it's had a pretty nice run up. Okay, we did pounce off that zone. Here's the 4 hour. Last night we were sitting right here. Okay, and again, we went up, we went down, and then we're just ended up a little bit higher. So not tons of movement. Here is it on the hourly, and again, it's not really bouncing off zones. We marked off an area here. It didn't quite hit that level, and there is a little bit of a zone down here, right? And we kind of hit it, and it was all right, but I don't know that I would have went long off of it. On the 30-minute, kind of the same thing. I mean, when price was hitting this top zone here, we had a zone here, and again, smaller time frame. It kind of popped through and then immediately dropped down again. That may have been one of those ones that we got kind of dinged on, but it was 60 pips. Like I said, 60 pips on a 30-minute, kind of just not the best, right? And since that time we have smaller levels, and these are better, right? I mean, you're talking about 35. This is a 30, 34. So it's starting to come back down again. But again, the daily is 312. This one was about 80. I'd say is what the average on this one is. 70 to 90 probably is what's best. It's still jacked up. So, small term, intraday kind of movement, and that's basically it. Anything else besides that right now, it's just really not great for the pound. Pound Aussie, okay. Daily is 529 pips, so it's out of my kind of wheelhouse of comfort. You guys can see this is, at least we have some green here, but again, look at this, back and forth, back and forth. I mean, look how little these bodies are. Just not for me. Yeah, look at this. Like, what is this? This is that like whole like, static, that the being on a speaker in a glass again, right? But I will say on the daily here, look at this. We are kind of at a peak, but on the 4-hour, we're starting to crash lower. We were going higher, 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 higher during the popular times, but look how much deeper it drove this time, right? Look how much deeper it drove. Instead of stopping here, it continued to drive lower. So with that said, hopefully the pop tomorrow is only here. It starts to come back down again. So this is tradable because right now it's not tradable for me. Spread is also 7. So it's a much. Euro Singapore, and your bounce off the bottom. Again, we are kind of at a peak right now. All this is still factored into the price. We're sitting in the middle of top and bottom. So again, no man's land for me, no trade. At the pound Swiss. Pound Swiss on the daily looks very, very much like the Aussie pairs did. We had that big decline, that pop, and then starting to see some red. So looks very, very similar to those, right? This one had some levels in. Neither one of them are really the best levels. It's kind of grabbing at straws. I mean, there was that one level here. Again, this is what we marked off yesterday. Again, this flat all the way across. Okay, it hit it once and dropped, and it kind of did the same exact thing. But this is why I don't like it. 78 pip risk. So a bit big. Again, not necessarily worth it. Did it work out? Sure. I mean, could you have taken small positions? Again, we know that it worked here. I'll just extend it across, right? Did it work here? Yup, it hits 1 to 3 and it's 1 to 5 and ended up coming all the way down again. Okay, next time it came up, did it hit its 1 to 3? Yes, it does. It's hit twice. So again, it has been big winners in both cases. In this one, you went 210 pips and your second one was down here at 350. So it put movement in, right? I mean, it was there, but again, the risk level in this one was quite a lot. Risking 80 pips. That's a lot. I don't typically like to risk that much. I mean, again, you could have taken much smaller positions as you normally take, and that would even everything out. But at some point, you just have to say, do I have to take a micro on this one, or do I just take a seat and wait for it to return back to normal times? Again, you got to determine those. What do you think about Dollar Cat? Actually, I covered dollar after this, and Dollar Cat is actually the first one. Yeah, Dollar Cat is actually it's New Zealand and then dollars. So yeah, we're almost there. That's dollar Swiss. And then pound New Zealand. Again, 557. Chop back and forth. Lots of just sideways movement. Here's your 4-hour. It's like, yeah, what the heck is this? This is what I want. This is what I got. So again, not much for me inside of this pair. And again, we're at a peak right now. 557 pips. Too much on the daily. Again, let's bring this back down again. Get it back in the normal times. This hourly zone right here, we're talking about 120 something pips on an hourly. That much. All right. So with that being said, let's jump into New Zealand's. And again, I'm only going to cover 2 of the New Zealand's based on what I have right now. As you can see on the daily, it looks almost exactly like the Aussie pairs. Big push down, although not quite as clean. There's more green, nice pop up, and then all of a sudden, boom, turns and flips. We are at the peak 250. This one had an ATR of 50 before, so we are 5 times greater volatility right now than normal, right? And that's what we had looking. So we almost got close. We got front run. The area was right here. We missed it by just a little tiny bit. This one missed by about 12 pips. Last night, you can see that we were standing right. We were close. Missed it, got front run, came back to the downside again. A little bit larger of an area. Turned out to not be a bad one. 1 to 3 was hit. Total profit on that one, and you made it all the way, about 172 pips. 3 ATRs for what? Again, bring it back to where it needs to be. New Zealand, almost the same exact thing. Nice pullback. Again, this one had more red than the last pair did on the 4-hour. Again, this was pulling up, trying to get to a zone. It didn't quite make it. It got front run. You guys can see here on the daily. I'm sorry, on the hourly. Not really a great zone to pull from. Did put a nice little top in though, right? But we did not get a retest of that zone. But I will say that zone is about 27. That's a little bit much for this pair. A little bit much, but at least it was a clean zone, right? Nice kind of up, sideways, and then nice pop. Legit candle, not a lot of wick. I mean, again, pulled there. So again, definitely keep that marked off. Looking at this one, we've now broken what? 1, 2. Well, we're basically on our way to break the third level. So it isn't a downtrend right now. Overnight, it will probably continue to push to the downside. Again, I don't see anything that brings in New Zealand strength overnight, but I do see some dollar strength coming back into the market. Dollar prosperity. You know, the economy is not going to be as bad as it was, which means we'll raise interest rates much, much faster, which will bring dollar strength back again to curb inflation. So that one's kind of on its mend. All right, so looking at the dollars. All right, actually, I think we have this. I think dollar CAD's first. Yeah, dollar CAD's already sitting up there. So looking at dollar CAD right now, okay, you guys can see we had this big, big spike up and it's pulling back. And I mentioned before, 146 is a lot. 142 makes a lot more sense. Looking at it on a 4-hour basis, again, we had this gold target here talking about, hey, listen, this would be our short target to the downside. And that's exactly what happened. We came back down. We actually tagged that target today. On the hourly, you can actually see the zone that it went into. So it is actually starting to push out of that zone. And again, we have no pullback yet, but I think this zone is it's about 70 pips. So it's a bit big for me. On the 30-minute, you can see we start to lose it because the zone isn't captured as well. But we do have a red, green, red to the top side. Any long targets, I think, need to be out before we get back up to 144.09. That's quite a haul. It's about 150 pips. And again, we say it's quite a haul. It's 150 pips, but obviously the ATR is 257. And looking right now, this one moved 130 pips today. So it has the ability to take that room overnight for any type of long situation. Even on the 30-minute, you can see there's not a whole lot stopping it. There's a little level right here. But for the most part, it looks like we have, clear sailing until we're back up into this zone. That's quite, and like I said, quite a bit of a haul. It's about 140 pips. Not bad. It's not bad. Like I said, it is going off a zone. Again, you can click this and see that, again, here is the hourly zone that it is bouncing off of. And again, it didn't go lower, and it has given us a green, red, green pop out, already. Now, technically, your stop loss would have been, or your entry would have been down here at 142.47. So it's moved about 20 pips since that time. But if anything, what I would do is I would shrink this up. Instead of using the overlay here, let's just take this and we will kind of move, something along those lines. Probably not a bad. Okay. Profit target 1 would be over here sitting at 143. Yeah, I think we could potentially do that in overnight. Yeah. Now again, this is another one of those positions. You probably want to be out of this one before the unemployment news tomorrow. I think the volatility will be absolutely insane with that one, and this one will be all over the place. They will definitely jack the spreads up. Spreads will be jacked on this one. Probably see some back and forth kind of movement. This could have a big spike. We should probably go back to the 4-hour and look for where potential. It's about 300 pips. I don't think this will be a 300 pip day or a 300 pip number, but we could probably have something up to the top side. And then we are so high up there right now. So being this high on the curve, it's like, unfortunately. There's just not a lot stopping this. None of these levels are really great to the downside. I think once we get some sellers, once we can clear this level here, if we can get some bad news and we clear this level, well, hold on. Let me see something real quick. So this may be where we spike down to tomorrow. That may be where we spike so this could bracket us tomorrow. So there is kind of this here. I'll put this one down here. So there would be bottom, there's top. Okay, from where current price is right now, there's basically the spike, top to bottom. I have one there. This is going to give us our overnight wiggle. See those two? So it puts us in there where equidistant from top to bottom. Each of them is about 280 pips. Technically, right now, that's the ATR. So it can move one of those ATRs right now. That's what the average is. It can move. Now, it's a historic number. We could technically blow out the top or bottom. But, I mean, looking on the daily, we don't really have anything until we all the way down here. I mean, I don't think we're moving, I don't think we're jumping, 1,200 pips tomorrow on this news, especially when it's already forecast. So it should already be factored in. Likewise, can we go back up here? We can, but I mean, both times that it tried to strike up, it was turned and smacked back down again from 147. So I think this is potentially kind of what we're looking for the news tomorrow. Again, we'd be looking to take this. No, hot pink. Not hot pink. Regular pink is fine. This side here. Green is fine. Those two things. Okay. So yeah, I think that's a potential for tomorrow. I think in the overnight we will continue to push higher. It'll put us there before the 8:30 number tomorrow. Don't be surprised if some currency firms actually shut us off tomorrow either. I expect all the spreads to explode. I expect Nadex to be totally screwed up. I expect a lot of things to be bad if we make it that far. Long CO. All right, so that's what we got going for CAD. Long CL. All right, so looking at a daily on this one, let me take the top off. Oh, there we go. So as we mentioned last night, guys, we were still sitting back up in that daily zone on this position. Today we were down only a little bit. I mean, since we hit it last night, we're down about 114 pips. Again, high on the curve. We hit a daily zone and we turned and flipped. Okay. I expect the unemployment number is going to move this one unless it comes in exactly as expected. There will be a retail reaction, but obviously the currencies market is a little bit more protected from the retail reaction because it's more on a global basis and everybody's expecting it bad. So, I mean, the market has already kind of factored it in. Looking on the 4 hour, again, you guys can see we kind of have the same situation, although today we did put a lower high in on the 4 hour. On the 1 hour, you can see we've kind of pulled back, right? We had that zone that formed early on. There was a bit of a trade earlier today. And this one, again, smaller time frames have been, owning everything. These trades came in at about 8, 9 o'clock this morning. There was a short to put in there. The risk level was not bad. The risk level was only about 20 pips. Again, not bad zones to take, right? High on the curve, inside of that frame. That's what the risk was. The 1 to 3 got to hit a little hour, about an hour ago. Not bad profit potential to the downside. You're banking about 80 pips on that one. So 80 pips a day. Again, risk not bad. Take that one. Take that one. That's not bad at all. Again, your 1 to 3 is before the opposing zone. Kind of a similar situation going into tomorrow. Again, I'm not going to give you anything overnight, although it does look like it wants to come down and bounce off these two bottom levels. It looks like it's trying. If it does get much lower, I wouldn't take it for long overnight, but I would still, I'd prepare for morning in this one. Like I said, I prepare for morning. The one saving grace on this one is we are sitting up here. We are sitting high. Again, it's going to take something. I mean, not to say that it can't. Like I said, if it does spike, the daily ATR is 243. So if we do jump, I mean, the zone that we've been looking to sell forever is 360 pips away. If this comes in at 2.6 mil, it could get up there. A 2.6 mil number being a million past what they say, if they don't revise the number again, the forecast, it could potentially get up there. But I'm telling you, if it does pop up here, I'm shorting the heck out of it. If it gets up to 114, I'm definitely selling it. All right. But for the most part, where we are on this daily, it's already proven to be quite a showstopper. And you guys can see it here. Every time it comes up, it gets hammered down, hammered down, hammered down, hammered down, hammered down, hammered down. So, and again, I mentioned this last night. If we come back up, getting hammered down again. So, difference is this time it went lower than its previous. We were doing this up, down, up, down, up, down, and again, higher, 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 lower. So that's the first lower. So just again, word of precaution tomorrow. Watch out for that number. Looking at dollar Swiss. So dollar Swiss, okay, here's where we are on the daily. Okay. This one turned not in a great level. I mean, here it turned with this, not the best level, right? It was a retest of a prior one, a little bit harder to do. It's moved like we've hit our 3-to-1. We hit on the first day, so it's moving, right? What it's done now is kind of showed us it wanted to roll over, right? And it rolled over and made another attempt, and then slowly rolled over again. There's areas of buyers right below where we currently are. On the lower time frames, you can see, even though we had a rollover mark, there was a slight touch here, but then we didn't touch it again. Downside where this pop is, it's taken basically all day, right? I mean, here's where we are right now. Last night in chart school, we were sitting right here. Okay, so the entry happened right about when chart school started, so we were already down here by the time we were talking about it. It was kind of back in the middle. It did not touch. Again, did not give us an entry in either direction. So really haven't been able to get into this one. Now, same thing, popping up to a 4-hour. The one thing that's okay is, again, we are high on the curve, so I am definitely a bit more bearish in this one to head to the downside tomorrow. On a daily, again, we're, 140 pips from the pop here. I mean, if we can get up, I mean, this is 216 pips. If we get some type of a spike of 215, then yeah, there's a parabolic tracement to the top, to the downside. Heading to the bottom, again, there's not really a whole lot clean until we get all the way back down here. So, we got 340 pips to the downside. So I don't know. I feel like this one will probably not be as much of a mover tomorrow. I mean, again, it will have some. There is some, uncertainty, but I don't know. Nothing with the, I just don't see how people would suddenly jump and want to go to the Swiss because it's not a geopolitical thing. Now, I will say, if we do hear much more about the guy that, died in Iran's care, that could definitely bring some downside to this one. It was brought up in tonight's, COVID-19 news conference. The gentleman that we've gotten 2 back, but then this other guy is supposedly dead or dying or about to die. The news seemed to think he was dead already, and Trump's like, we haven't heard that he's dead yet, but he's not doing well, and we don't think he's going to be alive for much longer type of situation. That type of news of us having any type of retaliation against Iran because of this guy, that would obviously bring in some Swiss strength and send us to the downside. So, yeah. Well, I mean, Wealth Builder, it could be one of the biggest unemployment numbers we've ever seen. So yeah, a lot of movement there. And again, dollar Singapore, I'm not going to touch because it's not going to be a factor for tomorrow. So let's go into the fun ones in my oil chart. So let's look at oil first. Okay. So on the oil daily, it's kind of petering out. It's kind of having some problems, right? We're not popping high. We're not going low, but we really didn't do much on a daily basis. Look at that. Kind of up, down, and basically it opened and closed. Here, look. We basically opened and closed at the same exact spot. So nothing super exciting. Again, nobody was really watching the number. Here's the 4-hour. Even if I try to make the 4-hour exciting, I really can't, right? I really can't. That's what it looks like, right? Didn't get higher low. On the hourly, look at it. Consolidated even more, right? Now, there was a pop back and forth. I mean, this zone wasn't horrible. Again, you guys can see we kind of formed the zone, right, up here like late night, kind of where we were for chart school wise. And we came down, and again, this entry would have been right about 6, 7, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. And then again, once the 10 o'clock number came, we got a spike back up to the top side. So, little trade this morning with news. The 1 to 3 wasn't a good place. It was sitting right before the opposing zone. So that was a valid trade before news today. And again, this is pretty textbook, right? What do we talk about? If you're sitting in a zone on the 30-minute before the news is released, you're probably okay, right? To go long. And in this case, you would have been, right? Here's where we are now. And the news release happened right here. So what did it do? It was riding right along this thing. Here's 10 o'clock. There's 10 o'clock. Boom. It spiked in at 10:30, right into the zone. And from there, all the way back up again. So we went from 24.06 up to 25.44. Nice, $1.40 movement. Again, based off news, without even a big number. Again, technical basis, small charts, moving into position before news is released. And again, the market knows ahead of time, guys. The market knows ahead of time. Where we are right now, I mean, there's a little bit of a zone up there. We can see it. I mean, it's okay. I don't know. In the overnight, I would say it's probably going to go back down to the 24 range. It'll attempt to kind of push back down again on the hourly. Look at on the 30-minute. I mean, it's kind of, it didn't go quite as high. Had a nice push back down again. And again, this is the base. If we break this low here, yeah, I don't see anything stopping this from going back down in the overnight, back down in the 24 range. I have to say, If anything, I'm a bit more bearish in this pair, looking at what it's doing right now. Like I said, that's a very strong movement. That's one candle straight down from that zone, and it didn't even go as high. So it's showing me that there's some sellers pushed in that area. Okay. Again, a target to the downside would be the top side here. I would probably not take another long off this though, because it did push all the way down into here, that zone. Okay. When you go to the very, very bottom, it's just one of those things. You don't want to go too much farther. All right. So gold. Gold. 2 amazing days, and all the gold traders were telling you buy more gold, buy more gold, and now we have 2 days of pushing back down again. So there's kind of the level we're looking at. Let's move these guys off. Again, this trade I think was a small time frame, right? Yeah, I mean this one hit here. We were down here. It came up, it hit, because again the levels formed here off the 30-minute. There was a zone formation. Here was the spike up. There was the hit. Boom, there's the profit target. And again, it did come up a second time, and we didn't get a second one out of it, but our first profit target was good. So let's get these so we can clear it off now. All right, so here's where we are right now based off the 4-hour. We did turn on a level. We did miss this top little section right here. Super, super close. On the hourly, you can see the top of the zone, the very, very bottom of the zone was here. But again, taking that a little bit more conservative kept us from getting into the trade. Since that time, it's pushed down. It has a failure to go any higher. Didn't even get back to the zone before it continued to push down again. So there are some buyers below where price is. But again, dropping down this 30-minute, you can see they're a lot farther down, and it's not necessarily clean until we get back down into this 1557 range, dropping about 50. So I don't know. At this point, I would say that I am also bearish gold, and I've been saying, I said yesterday, I told you last night, I said that I was bearish oil, and again, oil just more or less went sideways. Again, it popped up, it came back down, and went same area. I told you I was bearish gold, and again, bearish, gold was down again today, and then same thing with silver. You can see that silver, it's red right now. This one is, up. We talked about this last night. I mentioned that, hey, look how close we were to that miss. Came up, and again, it went down, it went up, and it's basically in the same place. So silver, I'm just kind of flat on, right? Again, we have two zones, top and bottom. There's a little trade in here. I don't know if anybody took advantage of this one or not. That entry for this one was about 1 o'clock in the afternoon today. All right. Same thing, using an upper level, kind of an aggressive zone. It was before our original target that we missed on in the first place. Same thing. Looks just like oil, right? Looks just like oil. Came back and hit that zone right after, right after lunch, or right before lunch, depending on the news. All right. Same thing. I still feel like this one I'm more bearish. Again, I like the zone there. It turned away, didn't make it as high, and now it's starting to push again. So I'm bearish. If we do get a pop because of the unemployment news, if it does push up, again, I'd be looking not at the blue level. I'd be looking at the orange level or the yellow level, and that's at 1536 to 1552. I think that's a much better spike. That is more in line with the movement that we're looking for. Yeah, it's quite a haul. Quite a haul up there. Okay, that would be where my short targets would be. I might start shorting. To the downside, the only thing I think of is I don't think I would use the 30. I would not try to enter this trade before the news. I don't even know. I'm curious to see how much Nadex will shut down tomorrow morning. Seen a note yet. It may have been out. I may have missed it. I wouldn't be surprised if Nadex is either halting or just everything is so untradeable at that point because the number is just forecast to be so low. Or I'm sorry, like so many people unemployed. Um, I don't know. I don't know how I would trade this one. I'd probably just wait. Like I said, if this was any other time, if we didn't have that big number, I'd be looking for trades on a smaller time frame on this one. But I think we need to wait till we hit upper time frame type stuff here. All right, that's silver. All right, NQ. So NQ daily, right? Starting to pull back again. It's like, wait a second, why is it red? We got stimulus. Yeah, it's red. We had this gigantic day up, and when I told you guys, it's like, hey, we're gonna probably close red, right? We had a huge day up. It needs to retrace, and it started. It didn't do it all in one day, and again, the markets did push higher before pulling back again. Okay, so where we were from last night, you guys can see here where we are right now, and then we were sitting right here last night. So it ended up pushing higher, went lower, pushed higher, and then went lower, and is now broken below. So it is a red day. It's not an instantaneous retracement back again. But will this fall tomorrow? Like I said, it will fall. Probably not as bad as it did before. Excuse me. Looking, into the rest of the week, I think tomorrow will be red, and I think Friday will be green. Is kind of what I'm thinking. Um, because they'll want to end on some type of a positive note going into the weekend. So I think tomorrow will continue to be red. Unfortunately for the 4 hour, I don't really have a lot of zones up top that we can kind of trade this off of. The only thing that I was kind of looking was like a little bit of a hidden zone was on this 4 hour right here. You see there's a bit of a zone right here, right? We had a bit of a retest. Again, we're using this level. That level starts up here at what, 83.97. So I mean, again, it's quite a haul. I don't know that the news tomorrow could spike us there, but if we can get up in that range, that's not a bad range to start taking some type of a short off of. Downside, downside's hard to say. We're at what, 74.15 right now, and the lows were at 76.49. I mean, it's possible. It's possible if that number comes in at 2.6. I mean, if this is that one red body, just the body, not even the wick. If that's the one red body, that's where it puts us tomorrow. Right? You guys can see here that's where it puts us tomorrow, to the downside. If that number is really, 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 really horrible, like if it's coming in as like a 2.5, 2.6, we'll see. Yeah. Now, let's see. Hold on. I haven't logged in, but I'm gonna check it. I'm gonna check it right now. Nadex. Man, I did that registry clean, so I have to like type in every website again. God, it's annoying. I'm gonna see. Is there a? I'm trying to see what the pop-up is. Here we go. Nope, it just says upcoming changes. No news. That is interesting. Let's see. Hold on, guys. I'm gonna check Nadex real quick here. Let's see how jacked these suckers are. Right now the indicative is at 74.12. 74. No, 74.12. Sorry. Whoops. 74. Yeah, there's a lot of premium in these. To get something down to like just $25 risk, you got to go to 70. You got to go to 70.50. So you basically have to go 350 points to the downside on this one. But I mean, that's only here. 73.50 is here. So, eh, I don't know. It's kind of interesting. May not be horrible. May not be horrible the downside. There may be some, small positions in this one if we get the move. The volatility is not jacked up, but I'd want what I would do. I'd probably check this in the morning. This would be my recommendation. If we can eat 7-8 hours of the premium out of this before tomorrow morning, that would make these prices a little bit more competitive, and I think we get a better price for this one. But like I said, I don't think unless this thing comes in, it looks like only has like a 500,000 jobs, which I don't think that's the case. I think this is, the market reaction will be, hey, listen, let's shoot this down. This rally up has been in preparation. See this thing come back down again. All right. That's NASDAQ. Let's talk about the Dow. So Dow on the daily again. We had entries a little higher and it turned on us. Let's see. Base. I mean, we went off the gap, but again, this is a weird gap. I still think this area up top is probably the best bet. We're looking at this one being at 22,820. And again, with us being at 20 right now, well, 20.99, you're talking about, quite a large movement. Not that it can't do it. I mean, it's 200, 200 points. It definitely can, hit that in a day. I'm just afraid on a 1 hour, I'm afraid that's not going to be enough. I think we'll need something better. And just not a lot up here. I think if I had to pick a zone, I think I would pick, let's see, that one, but it's not even high. I feel like this is an area that I'm going to watch out for up there. If we get a spike up, again, there would be a reaction after. Look for it to spike up first and then turn. But at the same time, it's a bit far. Let's see, are we within distance? Yeah, it's a good size. I feel like if this starts tumbling, this one's going to tumble. See how jacked up are these. What, 2870 right now? 2890. We have it for that. 19930. It's about a thousand down I would need to go. I think the Nasdaq is a little bit better of a setup. I think 1,000 down in the Dow. Not that we can't get 1,000 down in the Dow, but with them jacking the rate, I think I don't know. I think the Nasdaq's a better one. I think this one to the downside. I think too much focus has been put on the Dow on this one. Let's see what the S&P looks like. S&P wise, let me see. Where's that weekly zone? There's a weekly. That could be the interesting pop right there on the daily. We may run into a zone up here at 2704. Again, if we get some type of a spike up and then I kind of retracement back down again. Yeah, I still think it's going to be negative. I still don't see this being, providing the correct, upward movement. There you can see right here. There's the 4 hour. So there's a nice little zone sitting there. Right here. There's your test. Let's see. Let me check. Let me check this one real quick as well, since we checked everything else. There we go. Indicative is 24.40. 24.43. This one is 23.7. So S&P is asking for 100 down. Maybe better actually. Let's see. What do we got here? Yeah. That one is better. All right, so the Dow and Nadex is jacked up. It looks like Nasdaq and it looks like the S&P are both better opportunities for a large collapse to the downside. And again, the ones that I was talking about are basically taking approximately about $25 risk. That would give you a payout of 2-to-1. Obviously, you could go a little bit more, a little bit less, and then take it off a bit early. But that's just, again, taking something to the downside. As I said, this number keeps getting larger and larger and larger, and the market is obviously trying to prepare for it. When this one started off on Sunday, it was supposed to be 750,000 claims. Now it's 1648, and again, they're trying to dial it in, but it's going to be big. And then the GDP number, right? The final GDP number, quarter over quarter. Again, we haven't really gotten into the true effects yet of the coronavirus inside of this number, but we're getting pretty close. So this one will start being affected as well. And I don't expect that, the final doesn't really miss too often. So they pretty much know where it's at. The next one is the next final that we get will be the one that will be pretty interesting. So again, it's on a quarterly basis. Next quarter, we're going to be jacked for that. But we'll see. So, like I said, I think Nadex wise is going to be the way to play these. There's going to be so much movement. You definitely don't want to be in the futures market trading these tomorrow before that news. Again, this is the largest number that I've ever seen in unemployment. I've never seen anything this large before in a single reading. I mean, obviously during the other crisis, you'd have 500 and then you'd have 500 again and then 500 again, like multiple months in a row. But I just feel that, 1.6 all in one shot, if they nailed it on the head, which they, again, I don't think they're going to do. They typically tend to be off on this one. But you guys can see this is just, it's never, all the way back. There's nothing even remotely close, right? So I think this one is, this is going to be crazy. Going to be crazy one way or the other. So again, protect yourself. Make sure your risk is low on that one. That's the way that, you can play it. Now, I will say, let me see. News is at 8:30. I forgot to check it. Let me check the touch brackets real quick. See, the touch brackets don't get as jacked up typically. The indicator for this one It's at what? 24.57. The other option on this one, guys, is because we expect a lot of movement, if we can get a touch bracket priced right beforehand, there could be a nice little entry in there. So right now we have a touch bracket priced at 24.44 to 24.95, although that one's probably not the best right now. We'll have to see where we place this one overnight. Yeah, we'll have to see where it places overnight. There's a couple S&P. There's a couple S&P 500 touch brackets on this one. Let me see. Let's look at NASDAQ. Let's see. 24.24. I'm sorry, 74.24 on that one. On this one. 74.26 is the indicative right now. Yeah, nothing here yet. We need one. We need one of these to pop before morning time. Like if we get this guy to pop, that would be interesting. Or get a bit closer. If we can get this one pretty close, this could be an interesting. This bottom one here, guys, if you're looking at this touch bracket, this TB447, if this price, we can get a little bit of a rally in the overnight. And again, if it pushes up before the number and people preparing, be like, yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. If you can get into this one, or the bottom, the 73.08 to 74, you know what? Hold on, let me just drag this off. This could be, let's drag this in. This one. This is a touch bracket I'm talking about. If we can get this a bit higher, get this a little bit closer to this number right here, the risk on this one may not be bad. I mean, right now, you're talking one contract, your maximum loss is about $100 on there with 500 to gain, right? If we can get a little bit of a rally in this one overnight, that one may not be bad. Vice versa. I mean, it's got a bunch of room. All these are in this. I mean, this is the closest one right here, the 73.98. If we can get this to drop 20 points overnight before the news release, we may be able to get the new printed bracket of this one, somewhere close to the top and get some low risk beforehand. The big question will be is, can you get into one of these with, being pretty close to the floor of the ceiling? And I think, again, we need to be a bit more bearish minded. And that's why we can, get something in there. The other thing that I was looking for was a call spread, although the call spreads have been kind of funky lately. Like something along these lines. We're at 24.52. This is the only one that's kind of close, right now. I mean, you have a 24.50 right here, but that doesn't. I mean, we're close. I mean, that's good, but I don't know that I don't think it's gonna be that much of an explosion. And the risk on that one is, quite large. Look, this one is jacked, right? The indicative is just slightly higher. So the call spreads are already jacked. Those are bad. But I was looking at that one binary on this. And again, the 24.51 is basically right in here. Here's your at the money. And you can see up in here to that, 25 to 75 range, you're talking about moving what? Moving 60, 70? No, more than that. Like 90 points up, or vice versa, taking this one down here into this range. And we need to drop from 24.51 down to 23.70-ish. 23.70, 23.47. So again, about 100 points to the downside. Could you get 100 points to the downside on the largest unemployment number ever? Probably. And like I said, the spread is not, not horrible in this one, right? This is basically 100. This is a 100-point down day. $23 risk for 73. So it's a 1 in 3 risk to reward payout on that one. No change. 140,000 unemployment on the news. Yeah. So again, there are some opportunities. Call spreads are obviously not it. Binaries, I think, are the way to go to tomorrow morning. And like I said, that number is early, so start checking that stuff at 8. Yeah, could be some fun. And like I said, I mean, if it comes in at 900,000, which I don't know if it can do that anymore. I just don't think even with the stimulus package, I think it'll be muted. But I think if anything, I think there's more of a chance that the number is going to be lower than what it actually, the number will be higher than what's forecast than the opposite way around. And even if there is, even if it's a number that's not as bad, I don't see the number just exploding higher. I think people will still want to, I think tomorrow will be negative, and again, Friday will be green. All right. So you don't see anything that market goes up tomorrow. I think that, I mean, no, not really, Ernest. I mean, if the market moves up, it's because people are trying to sell it. It would be the only thing. So if retail traders are trying to short the market and sell their positions, the market will go up. So they have to sell it at higher amounts type stuff. That would be the only thing. Like they would want to raise it. Like the big money would be like, okay, people are going to start shorting. We need to raise the market so we can sell it quicker, right? Let's get it up here, suck more people in, kind of trap them. That's about the only reason why. Because I mean, think about it. If the number comes in tomorrow at, say, we lost 900,000 jobs, do you think anybody else is going to get laid off? Yeah, probably. I mean, they put the thing in that you're going to, don't fire people if you aren't already fired. But I still don't think that people have confidence that that's going to help you. I mean, I don't know. If there's incentive not to fire people, sure. But I still think people are going to be like, yep, we're going to be out of work, and companies are still not making money. And, they did say this, hopefully they're assuming this is going to be enough. But if they need more, they'll go back. So this is not, originally it was like, we're going to do this one time and that's it. We're going to go above and beyond. But now they're like, yeah, we'll go back if we need to. So, yeah, I mean, I think if it comes in at 2.5, I think it will be a down day. Either way, it's going to be one of the largest numbers ever, right? People are going to, I mean, the news is going to be all over that, right? What they'll do is they'll talk about unemployment's as high as it ever been. Then they're going to go back to New York and how many people are dying in New York. And then Italy's numbers are higher and all the negativity. It will justify the day being down again. But then after that is digested and everybody's like, oh God, I sold at the bottom, then it can go up on Friday. Yeah, Canada's giving out 2 months for 4 grand. Yeah, yep. So it's bad. Yeah, I mean, it's there's no ifs, ands, or buts. Like I'm saying, the environment is so bad right now. If it's bad, it's bad. If it's good, it's still bad. Like I said, I mentioned it before. I think we have one more big spike down before we hit bottom. Uh, I was joking a couple days ago and I was like, have we hit the bottom? Are we there yet? And it hadn't quite hit the zone that I had targeted on the bottom side. I think we have one more big, horrendous spike to the downside, and then I think we'll start chipping our way higher. I mean, we'll still have, kind of a little down draw here or there, but then I think we'll start chipping our way back up. That's my take on it. All right. All right, guys, so let me pull this back in again. Make sure you guys get your tickets in, exclamation point ticket. You guys can get it at the last minute. Who we got here? Will, FX, Lamare, Debbie. Who do we got? Q, I know you're last. Ernest is last. James is last. Wealth Builder is last. I'm not sure who else we have on the chart right now. Will's in already. Josh is going to bed at 9 o'clock. He is homeschooling 5 girls right now, so he is, I checked in with him. I was like, you all right? He's like, yeah, man, I'm crashing at like 9 o'clock every night. I think homeschooling 2 is hard. He is 5. So I'm sure he is, I'm sure he's having a lot of fun right now. So Josh will be back eventually one day once he is, caught back up on sleep. I'll give you guys about 1 more minute. I will close this down at 1:48. A little bit longer stream tonight, but again, we had a lot to talk about tonight. This is a drawing for pip chips. So one of the things that I do for people from watching the stream is they accumulate pip chips, just like regular money, like you get from, not real money, but like channel money. And you can redeem it for some of the indicators that I use. You can also redeem it for kind of mentoring time. So if you trade and you want to chat about your trading and see kind of, if you're looking for some pointers or looking for some analysis and things like that, we can have a one-on-one meeting and you can use your pip chips with that. Or if you're brand new to trading, it's really how to get started in the beginning, help start getting you set up. If you get those, and all you have to do is watch the channel. It's not that hard actually to get the pip chips for it. All right, James is in. Ernest is. Oh, look at this. Ooh, he's mixing it up. All right, there's 148. Let's close it down. All right, so the winner last night was Sean, right? I just want to make sure I remember. It was Sean last night, right? Oh, Wealth Buddy, you tried to snag it. I said 148. I closed it at 148.03. All right, so it was Sean last night. So if Sean wins, Sean gets the 100 pip chips tonight. All right, so the winner of tonight's drawing is... Ooh, my man Q. 11-11. Do you see that? 11-11. Make a wish, Q. And again, guys, just so you guys all know, he is actually up in New York City in the U.S. epicenter. So again, we got to keep sending positive thoughts his direction so he does not get sick and make sure that he's okay. But again, now he won. I think this is the second time in 2020 that he's won. You know, I know he's here at the end because he put it at the very end. I was going to say, if you're sleeping, it doesn't count. But again, congratulations, Q, on that one. I will mark that one as complete. All right, I'll go across and we will give you these. You're bringing it back here. We'll give you your 25 pip chips. There we go. All right, you are good. All right, guys, with that being said, a long night tonight. Make sure you guys get up early tomorrow morning. Make sure you are in front of your computer, ready to go. I don't know, maybe, I don't know. If I have the baby at the time, so I don't know. Maybe I'll try to do a live stream in the morning before that news release, and we'll see what the reaction is off of it. Maybe. We'll see. Depends if the baby's cooperating and not. But I don't have the boys tomorrow, so I'm excited. So I'll be actually getting some computer time tomorrow. All right? You guys take care. I'll catch you tomorrow.